everyone. We are going to get started with our live demo today of Materio. This is a basics demo. So this is going to be covering sort of the framework of the system. We'll talk about some of the efficiencies in the system and how this is a little bit different than managing things in a spreadsheet or in multiple places at one time. So we're going to take all of those things that are across different systems right now. You might be using Sheets and a design software to send POs and you know, Asana or Monday or Clickup or something to manage your task, right? All of that is going to be in one place. And I'm really excited to show you this. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to walk through sort of the basics here. So this is a project that I'm looking at in Materio. You'll notice over here on the right, I've got a floor plan. I've got different plan pages down here on the bottom as well. You'll see that I've also created some boards here. And I can do that in Materio. And then I can group things into these folders and I can also upload boards that I have. I can add in images and I can even hide these from my clients. So for example, I've got these images here of the before that I've added in and I want to hide those from my client. So the really cool thing is that we're going to start to build out a scope of work on top of this floor plan, and we're going to start to fill in all the things that are needed on this project. So this is really like an intuitive, collaborative, visual replacement for the spreadsheet. And then it's really more than that because it creates this connectivity throughout the project. So we're going to be focusing on sort of resource and planning and design concepts at the beginning. And then we're going to go through actual execution and order management and scheduling and invoicing and all of that towards the end. So we will I'll kind of cover, I guess, kind of try to cover everything here, but I think just a simple overview of what's in your project. You have your scope of work. We're going to build that out here on this left side. It's going to be connected to this. And then you've got your timeline. We will create one of those as well. Selections, open, client review, and confirmed. This is going to be the process in which we send our selections through. Orders, all of our orders will be auto drafted here as we get things approved. Activity is just going to be what's happening on the project, who's making changes, who's estimating, who's approving things, etc. This is also where you can send over progress reports to your clients at some point and add in notes. And then finances. So finally, this is going to be your billing, collecting retainers, deposits, invoices, tracking the performance across your scope of work, seeing where your selections are according to like the budgets that you've set up for them, expenses, and then change orders, what you call scope changes here. So all of that can be in the project, and that's just sort of an overview of what this can cover. Now, before we start estimating, I am going to go ahead and start my time tracker here. So I'm going to put my time in. So at the top of your Materio account, whether you're in the dashboard or in any of your projects, you're going to have this time tracker at the top available for you. It is going to default to the project that you're on, and then you're just going to decide what you're working on. Now, you can manage these activities and set them up specifically for your project and for your company, but this is going to be something that you want to do. So in this, I'm actually estimating and I'm setting up the project and I'm billing for this because I like to bill for my time, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got that going. Now, I don't have any categories or items yet. That's okay. I'm just going to do project setup and outline of scope of work. And so this is where you can kind of put a note and then start that timer. And now we're going to get going on this estimate. Now you can use Materio's scope starter to create the outline here. While you are looking at the scope starter on the left, you can click through all of your pages down here to dive into the project and the details to make sure that you're getting that correct. So in this project, it's a full house renovation and addition. So we're going to do kitchen, primary, all of these kind of are going to be here. And then you're probably also going to add in some custom locations on most of your projects. So we're going to do the rear foyer. We're going to do the office slash sunroom. I can't talk today. We've got our primary closet on there. And then we've got our gym slash bed two. Save that. So you can add custom locations here. And next, we're going to outline the categories of work that we're going to do. And so when we say categories of work, we're thinking kind of in the context of construction. What are the trades or what are the groups? So, you know, for instance, we are offering design services. We want to do that. If you're offering project management, field supervision, if you're a design build team, make sure you check those on. And then from a design perspective, we're going to be doing electrical, which we call electrical because it's the trade category, but it really is like all of the light fixtures and everything that are going to go into the project. We got some defaults here. And all these little chips are just default sort of suggestions for the items that you want to add. Now, you don't have to you don't have to use these. You can also opt to not use them. But this is a way for you to kind of think about and get some suggestions from us on what needs to go into this project. And we're going to really build out the custom items in the next stage when we're actually looking at the project. All right, this is where you can set up a budget. Now, optionally, you can do this by location or by category. This just allows you to think a little bit differently about the budget depending on who you're working with in the project. So if you're speccing a house for a builder, they might be giving you sort of category level budgets. Hey, you have, 100,000 for the electrical and 5,000 for the tile or whatever it might be. They can give you those budgets here. And then you can kind of see what's left over. You can obviously budget in your design services for this project as well. Now, if you're thinking more about this from a location perspective and you feel like your clients are going to resonate with that better, you can also do by location and you can kind of get an idea of what you have in each room. So this is a pretty common practice for design teams, and you can do that here. You can also always adjust this project total. I set this up when I initially started the project. You can always come in and say, okay, actually, this is $1 million project. And then when it comes to fees, and the reason this is on your specific project is every project can be treated a little bit differently. So we want to make sure that you have your fees set up correctly, and that you're sort of including a default markup across the board if you're operating on a markup model. Project fees is often going to be by design build firms, or if you're doing any kind of like transparent fee to your client, the markup is going to be baked in to your items. And let's just say we're doing a 100% markup here on everything. We're going to put that in. Tax exempt, yes, and we're collecting sales tax. We'll go ahead and put in the tax rate. And again, this is project specific. So if you're not sure about what your tax rate is, you can always set your best guess and then speak with your accountant or check out some of the government resources on what the tax rates are for the specific area that the project is in. Now, if you do find out that your tax rate is different, you can always come to the gear right here, edit your default rates, and then you can come in and adjust your tax and update all existing items. So just know that that is there for you if you do need to go back and change that. I would do that earlier on in the project if possible. So now we have our scope of work starting to take shape over here on the left. And you'll notice that there are categories, and then inside those categories, we have locations, and inside those locations, we have items. And so that's sort of how Materio is organized. Now, the electrical here, we don't have locations by default. So let's just go ahead and put the living room and the kitchen here, and then we'll just drag these items into those rooms. Oops, let's put that in the kitchen, and the sconces are going to be the living room. Now, you can always use that function, but what you're going to do at this point is start to look at the floor plan and highlight what it is that we need. So we have our pendants. We're going to go ahead and mark our plans. We're going to do 2 really large pendants right here and hit save. And then we're going to go ahead and estimate what it's going to cost. So this is your cost, your unit price. We've got your markup here and your client tax. Vendor tax is if you're buying retail, which is not the most common practice. So most of the time you'll just be doing a markup and client tax. And we do have these cost parts here: shipping, delivery, labor, etc., where you can get really specific on what it's going to take to get this item to your house, or excuse me, to your client's house. And so this case, you might want to say, I'm estimating $100 of shipping, and you actually may want to not charge a huge markup, or you may not charge tax on shipping as well. So this is where you can adjust those markups. And again, that can always be done in the edit default rates. We're actually going to go ahead and just do 10% on delivery. And then labor, we're going to do 10% and no tax where we are. So let's update those items. Okay. So we've got that updated, and now you can see that we have $2,100 estimated for these pendants. And so the cool thing is, in Materio, an item can be a selection or it can be a non-selection. And when it is a selection, meaning it has this little question mark right here, it means we need to source something, get it in front of our clients, and get it approved. So I can come into this item right here, and I can come down and add some options for it. But I also want to show you that everything that's a selection is going to show up in the selections workspace as something that needs to be done. So this is kind of a big visual checklist of everything on the project that needs to be done. So as we build out our scope of work as we start to mark the plans here about what is going into this project. This is where we really get an opportunity to see things take shape. So let's go ahead and mark a few more places on the plans. We're going to do the chandelier, the sconces, we're going to do right here. We're going to save those. And then what we're going to do is, again, you can estimate, um, put those in. And then when you come over to your selections workspace, the default is going to be sorted by location, but you can always sort by category and go, all right, today I'm going to work on the electrical. Let's get these things sourced. So I'm going to go ahead and pull from my library here. It's going to drop me right into electrical. You can create subgroups here, and I'm going to just pull in a few options. Now, one thing you will notice is that these are, when you pull items from your library, it is letting you know if the markup is different than the estimate. So in this case, I had put a 100% markup on my estimate, and you'll see that I put a 50% markup when I actually clipped this product into my library. So it just helps you become really aware of where you've done that and when you might want to reconsider what you've put on there, or just kind of letting you know. So now I have two pendants on this. And again, I'm just going to pull in some quick items here. We'll pull these two in as options. And then we'll pull in some chandeliers. Let's do like this one. All right. So now we have some electrical options here ready to send. Now, the cool thing is you can come in as a team. You can see a lot of specifics about this item. You'll see the attachments are here. When I clicked those, I was able to add those in very easily. I can also come in and discuss this option, and I can make it an internal conversation, and I could ask my team to let me know. So let's say I'm a junior designer and I'm actually sourcing. I want to bring in the head designer to sort of sign off on these things before I actually put them in the presentation or build a board with them or send them to the client. So I can go ahead and just say, what do you think of this? And if you have team members on the project, which they normally would be here, you could mention them and their name will show up there. So we're going to send that over. Now it's here. If you wanted to have a conversation with your clients about these options, once they've been sent over to them, you absolutely can do that. Also, one note, you can always drag these. So if you're trying to set up like the brass, aged brass scheme is the first one, and the more modern one is the second scheme, you can kind of arrange your options so that when we go to create boards, those are in that kind of order. So we'll get to that eventually. But I just wanted you to see how on your end, you're getting a lot of information here. You're seeing vendor information. You're seeing, we actually need to edit this one. It's an old item. Let's put the vendor in there. All right. And so when I'm saving something, I can actually go in and save it to my library. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one to make sure that I've got that saved. Okay, perfect. Oh, I just didn't pull in the information with this one. Okay, so I can always easily access, the link. That's why it's really important when you're clipping to make sure you've got the link there, you've got the attachments there, because once this is approved, we want to be able to send this to our trades very easily or to our contractor and say, here's the install instructions, here's the information that you need. So we're going to close out of this. And let's go back to our scope for a minute. I want to go through what it looks like to finish adding in some items. So let's go to the laundry and let's go to the floor as an example. So here we have a few different marker styles. We've got the polygon, so I can map out a more custom shape here. And it's going to give me the square footage. And then I'm going to put in the waste factor that I'd like to include. And now I know, okay, we're going to need 61 square feet. Again, I'm going to estimate $10 a square foot. And you can optionally put that labor in. We do have something called components really soon. I hope to be demoing on that next week. But this is where you can come in and kind of spell this out. And it's all going to be baked in so your client really doesn't see it. And then we'll go ahead and do the backsplash as well. So let's say that we're going to do a backsplash right along this counter here. Let's actually switch real quick. So we're going to go right here on this counter and we're going to do a line right there. And then we're actually going to hit enter so we can stop drawing our line. And then we're going to go up. So let's say it's 7 feet up and 10% waste. So that's how you can use the line tool to go vertical and to figure out square footage of something like the wall. And so again, we can really quickly estimate what we need. And let's go ahead and add in options for these from here. Let's see, I really like this one. And you can always add another option here as well. And you can also very easily edit from this form right here. So if you see that something's not right and you want to edit something, this makes it a lot easier to edit. Again, you can open up the comments directly right here. And then if you just hover over this item, you'll also be able to see the breakdown of it. So what markup do I have on it? What's the sales tax, et cetera. And that just makes it really easy for you to know for sure that you have the right numbers in there before you send it over to your client. So we've added that. And then we're actually going to add in floor tile as well. I think we'll do one of these options and this options. All right. So we've got these options in here and they're ready to send. Now, as we start to go through, we've already kind of created these concept boards. Let's just say that we've sent these to our clients. Now we're actually ready to put these all together. So I can come here and do a new board. And when I do that, I have the ability to go add selection and just say, hey, I want to add everything from the kitchen and everything from the laundry room because they're right next to each other on this board. And it's going to pull them in. And so I don't have a ton of selections here, but I can go, all right, this is the option for this. If you have multiple options, like this one has two, you'll see there's a little box right here that says option one, and you can toggle between them. You can also easily duplicate this now and also switch between the two. So if you wanted to kind of duplicate and set up both schemes here, you absolutely could. And so I'm going to bring this to the top here. So you could come in and say, okay, this is laundry, option one, and we're going to make it smaller. And then you could duplicate this even and go, okay, this is laundry option two. So it's really easy to put these together and kind of build out these schemes, if you will, and kind of add these to your boards. Of course, let's just pretend the pendants were also going in here and we had two. So we could move these all over and we could kind of lay out what our scheme is. And when you have a lot of items in a kitchen or in any room, it makes it really easy to just add all of those selections in very easily, very quickly, and build out those concepts for your clients using, we'll call this laundry, using the actual products. And now these are actually linked to the scope of work, right, that we have saved them on. So it's not just a static image. These are actually linked to the products that you've put into the project. So once you move forward with the budgeting and you know where you're going, you can source these products and easily put them on a board for your clients to view. So we're going to send these over for approval to sort of move forward through this process. And I'm actually going to invite a client to the project. You do have a lot of flexibility when you invite them. You can say how much you want to show them. Do you not want them to make choices basically on price? Do you want them to see the project timeline? Do you want them to get notifications, etc.? And you can send this over to them. And then I'm going to go ahead and check their name. You can always filter down by items. It'll let you know if something is not priced. It'll give you a little warning. We're going to send this over. So it's moved out of the open workspace. It's under client review. And this is where you know it's in my client's hands and they're going to get an email and come here and look at them. So let's go ahead and look at this view from the client. So they're going to get dropped in right here, and this is where they're going to be able to see information. So again, they're not seeing vendor information. They're not seeing all the breakdowns. They're just seeing what is it going to cost me, and where is it at in the budget? If you've set a budget for it, and great, we're going to approve it. And so this is a really easy way for them to come and make decisions. I'm going to approve this one. And if there are other selections that have been made in the room, they can also see those as they make those decisions. And we are actually, with our new components feature, when we roll that out, we will have internal names versus client-facing names and more ways to make things internal and external. So I'm really excited for that. I think that'll be great. All right, so they've gone in and they have approved these items. We're also working on something where you can send like a whole package over together, call that option sets. All right, so we've got that all over. Now it's under the confirm section. And this is where all of that connectivity really starts to take shape. You've built up the scope and now it's become something your client can approve. And now it's become something that's actually selected. And now we see that it's selected. We've gotten notifications it's selected. And now they're all auto drafted into orders that we are ready to make. Now, most firms are going to collect payment before they place those orders, which I definitely advise. So we're going to first collect payment on this. So I'm going to go over to my finances tab, go to billing, which should drop you right here. And then this is where just kind of an overview of your billing here. It's going to let you know your total estimated scope. This should be much more than $19,000 at this point because we only estimated a little bit, but it's going to let you know where you're at with your project, how much you've invoiced for, and how much is awaiting invoice. Now, if you're using retainers or deposits, all of that is also going to show up here and give you a great insight into what is needed. The other thing you can also do, just so you know, is set in locked in rates for this project for employees and activities. So if you have a new client and you want to increase your rates, but you don't want to change your defaults in the system, you can also just do it for this specific project. So I'm going to go ahead and collect a deposit. Let's do a deposit. So I'm going to collect a deposit for these items. And what this is going to do is earmark those items and those funds for these items. So I'm going to go ahead and add these that are approved. I think those are the only ones that we have estimated. If you have items that are estimated and not approved, and they do have a dollar amount there, you will be able to invoice for them. And I could talk all day about how that's really effective. You can do that early on in the process, and then you can actually order things much faster because you're not waiting on payment. But for now, we have these approved items. We're going to add them to our deposit here. You can choose if you want to collect 100%, 50%, whatever it might be. I'm going to go ahead and collect 100%. And you can also choose if you want to request the sales tax for this. So speak with your accountant about this and see if this is something you want to do. Oftentimes, designers might like to defer that sales tax collection until the item is installed and done, because as you know, it can be really hard to get that back once you've submitted it. All right, so I'm going to add this to my deposit here. This is where I might call it, FF&E deposit, or maybe it's kitchen. There are a lot of ways you can format billing documents in Materio. So you can collapse them, you can organize them by, category here. You can organize them by location, whatever you see fit. That is possible here. And then we do have online payment options. We have Stripe integration, and we also have recently launched Materio Pay. So that allows you to collect larger amounts of money without the holding and waiting fees of Stripe. So we're really excited about that. And you also, in both cases, have the ability to push those fees onto your client. You do not have to pay them. If they want to pay by credit card, you can absolutely, charge them those fees. They want to pay via ACH, you can push those fees on them. So I'm going to go ahead and send this over. And now you'll see that it's there. For the sake of this, I'm just going to say that we received a check and confirm that. So now this is paid. And if we go back to our selections workspace, you can see that all these are labeled as paid. And if you click on them, you should also be able to see details of the invoice that it is on. So again, we have this itemized approach that is making everything really digestible and really connected as you go through the process. So let's send over an order. We'll go ahead and send this one over. Now, there are two ways you can do POs. I'm just going to go through one of the ways today. There are videos about this on our YouTube channel. So I'm going to say I have this, I've already paid for it, and I'm going to go ahead and upload the receipt that I have. You can screenshot it when you order it on the website and drop it in. This is just as an example. And then what I'm going to do is make sure that the prices on the right are really matching the prices on the left. Because what this is, although it is, placing an order, it's ultimately tracking that expense for your business. And so this is where we are saying, this is what I expected to spend on this item. Is this correct? Are the units correct? Did I have additional discounts and all of that? So you're going to make sure that all of that matches up. For the sake of time, I'm just going to quickly do this and then go, yep, those match. Again, you can just come right here if they did change, and you could customize them. And actually, let's just say that these did go up, because I want to show you the example of pushing the cost to your clients. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and record the payment. If you are connected to QuickBooks, make sure you set up your purchasing methods. This is going to make your life 10 times easier. I use my Amex for this, let's say, and it's ready to go. Now, because I actually went over, I want to make sure that I am, or not because I went over, because the vendor has charged me more. I want to make sure in this case that I'm actually pushing that change onto my client. Now, if you recall, we had fully collected payment, right? It's paid here. We had fully collected payment on this item. So we're going to go to client pricing, and you're going to see that this has increased by 44%, and that there's a new shipping charge on this as well. So in this case, I do want to pass this on to my client. I could choose to absorb that additional cost. I could choose to edit how much I want to pass on to them. And I could also let me get back in here. I could also pass this on. So what I'm going to do is pass it on, save and next. I'm going to review both of these items. Yes. Now this one, the fee did go down. So again, I might just absorb that. I made a little extra money. I'm going to save and close. And that's all really dependent on the contracts you have with your client, how you operate your business. But I do want you to know that it is there. And this is the moment when you're placing that order to have that process in place. Do we push that forward to our client or do we not? So I'm going to hit save. And it's again, that connectivity, that automation, that efficiency is coming in right here. Yes, I want to go from selected to ordered. So this is great. You can add a note if you want to here as well. So this is ordered. And now if I go back to my selections workspace, you'll see that these are only now partially paid. And that's because I've increased the price to my clients. And therefore, at some point, I need to bill them for the remainder of these items. So Materio is tracking that on an item basis. So I'm going to come in. This would usually be done towards the end of the project, maybe when it comes in, but I just want to show you, you can select that project scope. And again, we're going to collect these items here, collect 100%, add to invoice, send it over, and get paid for that. And that's going to ensure that we are 100% paid for any of those cost changes that are made. Now, again, oftentimes I'm going to recommend doing that at the end of the project. It makes it a little bit nicer to like tie it up with a bow, unless it's a really big amount of money. But usually it's like we're just adding some shipping changes. There's a little bit of an increase, or we're passing on a discount, things like that. So we want to make sure we do that. All right, so this is paid. Now, the last thing that I want to go over, we don't have a lot of time, is the tracking and the timelines. So let's just say that we got a tracking, we got an email that this is tracked. We can come in here and track that right here. It's coming, UPS, paste that tracking number in. It shipped today. It's expected on Tuesday, and both items have shipped. Now, for some reason, only one of these had shipped, or maybe even only one unit of these have shipped. You can customize that, save it, mark it as shipped, done. Again, efficiency here, ordered to shipped. Yes, we're going to save it. So we're going to save those. And then when we go to our selections workspace, again, this is marked as shipped. You can also come in and edit the statuses right here. So let's say you placed an order offline, you're actually trying to catch up and you don't want it to show up in your auto drafted purchase order section. You would just come right here and select that this was ordered. You can schedule it on the timeline, add an optional note if you'd like to, and save it. So you can always bypass the auto drafted orders here by just coming into your selections and going ahead and marking this as ordered. All right, now we're going to quickly go through the timeline. It has generated a timeline for me because I've started to put these items, these shipping on and expected deliveries onto the timeline. So you'll see I have tracking information and all of that. I can reschedule this. I can choose a new date. I can just drag it if I want to. I can see all the history behind this item. So again, everything is right here. It's so connected. Now, because I want to start from scratch on the timeline, I'm just going to clear it out. It's okay. All those things will come back, all those deliveries. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to show you what it looks like to use a template. So I can come in right here. I've got a bunch of templates on my account. These are ones that I have created. Materio doesn't have any default templates. We would love to hear from you if you'd like that. We're going to pull this in and use this template. And I just kind of want to show you what this looks like. So there are work phases that you have, and inside those work phases, we have planned task. These are going to be repeatable tasks. They happen on every single project. This is going to create extreme efficiency in your organization because you're going to set this up once and you're going to reuse it. And then as you get customized tasks for this project, you're just going to add them in. Maybe in this one, we don't want to collect a retainer for some reason. We actually want to change to collect a deposit, So you can customize those, add in new ones on this specific project, but you have that template to work off of. You can also come in and create one-off task, bring in different like selection due dates. Let's say we want to have all the electrical decided by the 30th, or maybe it's really like the next Friday. We're going to save that. Those selections are going to show up. And then if they are done, if all of the ones on your project are already done, they're going to show up as done. And so shipping soon, upcoming deliveries, all that should be here. And you can come in and, change these colors here. You can drag these around, and you'll notice when I drag certain things, I do have all these dependencies built in right now. So it's just going to shift everything for me. So if I shifted client onboarding, it's really just going to shift the whole project for me. So this is a really great timeline, a great way to make sure that you have everything sort of worked out from a timeline perspective. Make sure that your team knows exactly what to do. And as those one-off tasks come in, they're here. So I can collapse this list as well if I want to get like a full view, bring this list out. And then again, if I created this from scratch, it's super easy. You just type in, the phase names, and you just type them in really quickly. You can always come in and then save a new template, or save or update this existing template. So I love the timeline feature. I think it does create a lot of efficiency in the process for having that all in one place. It's something we're also working on continually. It's not, nothing here is ever finished. We're always listening to our customers and really trying to understand what it is that you want. The other cool thing is once we start to get these products into our scope here, once they're approved and we have statuses, all of those statuses are going to be right here. The images are going to be right here. If we view this as our client, they're not going to see those statuses or visuals there, but they will see right here, this amount. They won't see again any of the breakdown. They won't see the POs or anything like that. But in your view, you're getting this great view into like who's the vendor, what's the information. If you click on it, you can see the purchase orders, the invoices, attachments, and all of that. Now we don't have time today to go into sharing the live links, but I would encourage you, if you've made it this far, definitely go into share, view only live links, play around with that, and check out the YouTube video that we have on live links. I will link it here. It's really cool to hand off to trades or your builder or your contractor that you're working with all of the selections live and real time. And then of course there's selections, exports, and getting those into printed documents and all of that. That's all very possible here. There's a lot of different views that we offer. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for going a few minutes over. I'm really excited for you to maximize the efficiency in your projects with Materio. You're going to be able to scale up your project size. You're going to be able to do it with less people in less amount of time, right? Faster, more efficient. So if you have questions, you can always reach out to us at hello@materio.co, and we would be excited to chat with you and to learn more about what your challenges are and what you're trying to do next. So thanks, everyone.